Navya and Samyak are the founders of Nimaya, an NGO that accelerates women in their careers.
इसमें बहुत ही अच्छा लगता है कि प्रैक्टिकली करवाते हैं हमें काम।
हमारे अंदर एक निष्ठा होनी चाहिए कि हाँ नहीं हम कर सकते हैं और हमें सिर्फ प्लेसमेंट वगैरह के पीछे नहीं भागना चाहिए।
Building 20 cohorts, placement support and empowering 1,000+ women in the workforce, they are on a mission to break social barriers. We are here at Nimaya's biggest upskilling event to understand what it takes to run an NGO.
We both had the desire to give back. Giving back can't be charity, right? It has to be strategic, it has to be future forward.
And ask the most important question.
So what is it in it for the funders? Why would anyone invest?
Nimaya is a non-profit organization who aims for upskilling women. So apart from that, is there something that is not shown or we don't see?
Firstly, we actually like to call ourselves a program that is building automation-proof careers. Yeah, of course, I think there are a lot of things that we don't see from behind the scenes of what the organization does. I think the biggest thing would definitely be how we actually go about planning our course. I think there's a lot of research and thought that goes into the kind of skills that we have selected.
Can you talk more about why Nimaya?
We both had the desire to give back. Giving back can't be charity, right? It has to be strategic, it has to be future forward. 49% of India's population is women, right? How do you get 49% of India's population to become automation proof is, I think, one of the strategic driving forces of Nimaya, which is something that we both are very, very passionate about.
So can you share us certain milestones that you have achieved?
Let me start with numbers. So we've gone 1,000+ learners, 85% placement preference. What really, made us tell each other that we're glad we're doing this is there was this girl, I won't name her, and we upskilled her. She got a job. Then I saw her a year later, and I remember which company she worked in. It's a $1 billion unicorn and so on. And then I asked her, how's it going? She's now the founder's office manager. That's not about, she works with the CEO, $1 billion. That upward mobility, that's what got us excited that Nimaya is not a lift. It's literally an accelerator that takes you up.
So what are both of your roles in this organization?
Our role, I would say, of course, along with supporting the team in enabling partnerships, enabling conversations, and also brainstorm around the structure of the program. We want to see how we can take Nimaya deeper into Bharat, which is the hinterlands of Bharat, the most remotest of areas. And that's where we kind of spend most of our time.
So who is your idol, the learners? What are their demographics and how do you reach out to them?
The end goal, of course, is to build a career. So we would, of course, focus on a particular age group. So we would look at 18+ or 21+. So if she fits that age group, then we definitely ask her to join a cohort existing or, maybe create a cohort with a girl similar to her, or maybe not affiliated with a college or an institution, but are independent learners and would like to join the batch.
We have B2B and B2C. So if it is B2C, then you come on our website and apply, and we create those independent cohorts as well. With independent cohorts, our program is not fully online, it's hybrid. So then you have to be physically visiting.
So you talked about leading naris and uplifting women. What wrong have we done? Why not the guys?
Unfortunately, I think a large part of the world still has that innate patriarchal mindset. This all starts from the hunter-gatherer mindset, right? That the man will hunt, the woman will nurture and take care of the home. So both had its equal role and equally important role. But somewhere, for whatever reasons, the equation shifted. So then attempts have to be made. We have to do our bit to give back their equal status. That's why I think the narrative has to be more towards women empowerment, because the narratives are already empowered.
I think it's an equal responsibility that men share as well to enable those opportunities or create ecosystems and spaces where women feel safe enough to pursue a career. Maybe the end benefit in our case is happening to a woman, but that does not mean that men are excluded from that mission or that conversation.
When we go into college, there's something that we get exposed to, that's personal finance.
Yeah.
And I feel that's an issue that needs to be tackled if we really, really want to empower the women of the country.
I'll tell you a very interesting story. We work with an organization called SEWA, Self-Employed Women's Association. So I asked one lady, said, what is the biggest advantage that being financially independent has had in your life? Where she says, before I was financially independent, ran my own small cottage industry, my husband would come at home at night with a bottle. But now, when he comes, I take out my debit card. That debit card represented that now that guy can't come and touch her because he thinks he can touch her because she is his property, but now she has her own money. That explains the role of earning your own money and having skills that enable you to earn money for the rest of your life, for your own independence, for your own emotional security, and that of your daughters especially.
So can you tell us more about how do you structure an NGO similar to what you have built?
So we have two sources of funding. One is of course CSR, where companies have to spend a percentage of their revenue or profit. And then we also take in grant funding. At least at Nimaya, we've structured it fairly simply. So part of the funding that we seek is also to support the organizational cost, because our capex is very little. Our capex is basically investing in curriculum development and delivering the training. So that's where majority of our money goes.
So what is it in it for the funders? Why would anyone invest?
Most of our funders are anonymous. You don't see their logos, etc. So I would like to believe that it's for the impact that we've created. Charity, one has to be about giving back, yes, but it also has to be about investing in the future, right? So if you're not investing in creating future-ready talent, it is going to be a disastrous situation, especially with a factor like automation coming in. So there is also a strategic advantage that they have. Now look, Nimaya might touch 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 people, and which is barely 0.001% of the country's population. But if we can create a template of what upskilling for the future means, and then that template is then replicated by other organizations, and we are very open. We share our curriculum. We're very open to partnerships, because it's not like Pepsi versus Coke here, right? I mean, we are all here to do good. So if our template works and somebody adds their 2 bits to it and it can scale, I think that's also one big motivator for the funders that support us.
Finding the funders. So if I don't have the initial numbers to ring, what doors should I knock on?
So first you start by saying, I need to find. It's not like I don't have, number one. Number two, today if you have the ability to write a powerful email, create a very moving deck and find the right person, write to him with a powerful message on LinkedIn. Find 10 such. One of them will at least say, okay, talk to my CSR head, talk to my so-and-so. It works. You just have to have the mindset, perseverance and the intelligent mind to find the right approach.
Has Nimaya ever tried crowdfunding?
No. I think India is still very nascent when it comes to non-reaction driven crowdfunding. So you just have to very passionately talk about what you do and the right people come to you, especially in the development sector.
So where do you hire your people? Are there any additional posts or any additional roles in a not-profit organization that is not in a regular organization?
It's really a lot like LinkedIn, her Instagram, word of mouth and so on. One thing we are very clear about is we'd like to try and hire with some form of referral. Now, it doesn't have to be a first reference. I should know who I can talk to about you. And something else that is very exclusive to our kind of organization is community relationship. So somebody who can keep that relationship with the community even after the program is over, and we want to be there for you in your life in a continued way. You also need people who can build the one-on-one relationships with your learners so that they can open up, understanding the lives, aspirations and challenges of each beneficiary, each learner, and only then can you truly impact them. Just giving a skill, giving a job and leaving the equation is very superficial.
Do you guys have any marketing strategy?
We share the stories we've created. I think that is our biggest marketing tool, or the biggest advantage we have. Started off with maybe 1 or 2, but now we have a bank of 10 to 15 very, very impactful stories that, we share with the partners, we share with our funders to show them that this is what can happen. I don't think that there is a better marketing tool than actually showing and enabling a narrative that allows other people to see that and then seek inspiration from it.
So can you list down the expenses, like the major expenses and the minor expenses that take place, logistics, the office? So
we have no office. So the majority expense is curriculum development. And I think second major expense is, because we stress on being a hybrid program, travel and logistics costs. And thirdly, the expense of delivering the training program. We want slightly high-tech facilities. So that's another expense for us.
So I was going to ask you this question, that how did you market and position yourself in order to A, raise funds and B, gather students? Are there any more examples or instances where you kind of convince the investors or the students to join the cause?
One thing that Nimaya is very blessed with is to have someone like Navya, who is an inspiring role model for women, I think, across the country. She kind of, embodies what we're trying to say, and that kind of helps attract the learners to come into the room to listen to us. What's great is that they don't come because of a background and so on, but they've seen how she's built Tara. They've seen how confidently she speaks on the podcast, which is all her own doing. We also take examples of other women who are not our learners, like say, Falguni Nair, Indira Nui, who are women that have broken boundaries and that have created something of their own, and we even use those stories. So actually half the job is already done because of probably the advent of social media and information at the last mile. We just come and connect the dots for them. When it comes to funders, we have 3 funders, and each of the funder has doubled the investment that they are making from the last 3, from where it started. Everybody is a business person. They always look at their advantage at the end, right? So if it is grown, is because they've seen the kind of impact we've created side. They've seen the future forward thought that our team and we and our curriculum designers invest. So that's how we've been able to attract the learners to come in and attract the funders to remain and scale their double down on their investment. And in this case, investment is of course CSR and grant funding and not money.
So I want to know the revenue model, like how much the average revenue from the students.
We don't charge the students.
Oh, you don't charge the students?
No, we're not for profit, so we don't charge the students.
So
at
the
all.
revenue and everything is generated from the funds and everything.
From the CSR and the grants that we get, yes. Though there is a thought, I mean, just to share a idea that I have in my mind. Maybe we want to charge, because we can charge. The law doesn't prevent us from taking a fee. Non-profit means that the founders or the shareholders of the not-for-profit company cannot derive dividends. But I do want to charge the learners a certain amount just to kind of prove their seriousness and their commitment to what they're learning. Because sometimes one of the other challenges, 200 people sign up and yes, we usually have like a 30% drop. And that's the nature of, people. Life happens and so on. So I think we would like to charge. We want to experiment with that and see where that goes, but we haven't done that yet.
So how is your mindset different working in a not-for-profit and something that you derive money from?
For me, I actually started off my professional career with working in a non-profit. I've just recently joined my family business. I think it's helped me in the sense that now I think that even profit-driven companies aren't just focused on numbers, they're also focused on impact. So I think that the background and the journey of the 2 years working in the development sector actually really helped me shape my thought process of how I would want to work in a profit-driven company. So I think that that's what I would say has been my biggest advantage of starting first off in the development sector and then moving to the corporate sector.
I don't think profit and purpose has to be at loggerheads with each other. And there can be a balance where numbers of impact and numbers of profitability can coexist without really cancelling each other in a big way. I'd like to believe that people like us and others need to become examples of how the development sector mindset can coexist with whatever growth agenda that you might have.
Can you list on 3 most difficulties or roadblocks that occur while building an NGO?
The obvious answer is fundraising, but I'm telling you, money is available. You could be somebody with that 20,000 rupee job and difficult home circumstances, but you go look into someone's eye and say, I want to make the change, something will come to you. But sticking to your cause and purpose and keeping your team stuck to it and keeping your funder aligned to it is the number one toughest thing.
In an individual level, you have to have a lot of compassion, a lot of empathy. You have to be emotionally very strong to be able to hear some of the stories that we hear. I speak for myself here. Somewhere it makes you feel guilty for the kind of privilege and comfort or luxury that you've been given in your life when you meet individuals like that, come from such hard circumstances. So I think that it's a constant reality check and you have to be somebody who is ready to be given that reality check on a daily basis and, use that in the best way with empathy and compassion to kind of move forward with the organization.
What were the challenges that you would like to highlight in the start of Nimaya?
Communicating how something like this can benefit you in the 21st century workplace, that we look at how are soft skills important. Of course, a degree is important, but skills such as the ones that Nimaya teaches and trains you in are equally important. Bringing that and allowing people to accept that was probably a big challenge for us in the beginning. So I think that I would say was probably our biggest hardship in terms of kicking the program off was how do you ask people to believe in you, and when you tell them that you're going to change their career or help them build one, how do you build that faith and trust between you and the learner?
So what are some of your key learnings that you've learned during this journey?
I think number one, stick to your purpose. Don't give in to temptation. Funders will come, hire the right people with the right heart. And also, when you work in the development sector, people prod your ego a lot. कि अरे तुम तो बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हो, तुम भला कर रहे हो. That's dangerous and it can get to your head. Don't give in to that. And lastly also, and very, very contrary to everything you would believe, don't get too attached to the pain of your beneficiary. Because when you get too attached, your judgment gets clouded.
So can you give us a roadmap of how we can start a not-profit or an NGO and fight a cause that's actually close to us?
I think the number one would be figuring out the area or the cause that you want to work for. That would be number one. I think the second would be, especially if you're starting out, is to focus on one geographical area so that it's easier to go on ground and actually find the right kind of people to, impact. The third would be definitely understanding the resources you would need to kind of solve that problem. Is that, do you need a partner to do this? Do you need people to help you join the organization? What are exactly the resources that you require to solve that problem? And And, then the fourth would be to go out and find the funding to either buy that equipment or hire the capital in terms of human resource that you might need to solve it. And then I think the last and the most important thing would be to measure the impact, because even for us, this is something we do after every batch, evaluating what this entire process was like, what it looked like, and what you could improve on or do better.
This is not just for an NGO, it's anything you want to build. Find yourself a guru or a mentor, somebody who's done what you want to do. Knowing what not to do is the greatest form of wisdom than figuring out what to do. And the most important thing, and I repeat, find the right co-founder or co-creator. Someone who complements your skill and does not compete with you. That's very important, because when conflict comes into any organization, and especially into a development sector organization, personal conflict, finished. You're done.
So lastly, we would just like to know what's in it for the next 5 years.
Like I said, for us, impact is important. So I would just hope that regardless of the numbers and the scale that we touch in the next 5 years, I would want us to create some very impactful stories. I would hope that the learners in our cohorts actually inspire more to join because of the kind of stories that they have created through the program. And I hope that's how we grow. I don't hope it's purely because we're going and chasing down colleges to take up this program, but because the learners feel that they can inspire more women. I think that's when we feel our job is done.
We're really excited about a documentary we're working on to really talk about the potential of Bharat's Naris in this new world that is being created. And number 2, we are going to be launching after this in Varanasi and in other emerging cities. And maybe, why just India? Why not Nepal? Why not Bangladesh? Why not Sri Lanka? India should not just export business. India should export purpose and impact also, no?
So yeah, I guess that was it for the conversation. Thank you so much.